Katt Williams came into comedy like a superhero. He was brave, smart, and wasn't scared of anyone. By the time he turned 30, he wasn't just making people laugh. He was telling secrets that powerful people wanted to hide. For almost 30 years, Katt has made us laugh and think. But behind his jokes are real stories about unfair things happening in Hollywood. Now, at 54 years old, Katt is finally speaking up. He's naming 7 people he believes are causing big problems in the entertainment world. Some names will surprise you. Others will shock you. Kevin Hart, the too fast rise. Kevin Hart always looks happy on stage. He has lots of energy and tells stories about growing up poor and working hard to become famous. But Katt Williams sees something different. He thinks Kevin didn't get famous the normal way. Katt has been doing comedy for over 20 years. In 2007, he made over $10 million from his comedy shows. He performed for 20,000 people in Atlanta. When Kevin Hart started doing comedy around the same time, Katt was already a big star. But somehow, Kevin Hart became even more famous super fast. In just 5 years, he became Hollywood's favorite comedian. By 2016, Kevin was making $87.5 million a year, more than any other comedian in the world. This made Katt wonder, how did Kevin get so big so quickly? Katt says, nobody remembers seeing Kevin perform anywhere. But just 1 year after moving to Los Angeles, he already had his own TV show and was in movies. Most comedians take 8 to 12 years to become really famous. Chris Rock needed 15 years. Dave Chappelle worked for over 20 years. Katt traveled from city to city by bus just to perform for 5 minutes. But Kevin Hart, only 2 years. Katt says Hollywood doesn't pick the best person. They pick the person who's easiest to control. Kevin is perfect, he's safe, friendly, and doesn't say anything controversial. He just stands there and makes people laugh. Katt believes Kevin represents something wrong with Hollywood. The system can make anyone famous, even if they didn't work as hard as others. And they can make you believe that person did it all by themselves. Tiffany Haddish rising too fast, falling too hard. If Kevin Hart's story shows how Hollywood builds stars, then Tiffany Haddish shows what happens when someone rises too quickly without help. Tiffany had a really tough childhood. Her mom hurt her badly. She lived in foster homes. She was even homeless and lived in her car, but she kept trying. When her movie Girls Trip came out in 2017, it made over $140 million. Suddenly, Tiffany was everywhere. She hosted Saturday Night Live, won awards, and signed big movie deals, all in less than 2 years. But she rose so fast that she didn't have time to prepare. She started having problems. At one New Year's show, she forgot her jokes and people walked out. She got in trouble for a bad comedy video. Then she got arrested twice for falling asleep while driving. The problem wasn't that Tiffany was bad. The problem was Hollywood gave her too much work too fast. They didn't teach her how to handle fame. They just used her until she broke down. Tiffany shows us that Hollywood doesn't help people who come from hard backgrounds. They just push them into the spotlight and hope they survive. Steve Harvey, the man behind the smile. Steve Harvey looks like the perfect success story. He tells everyone he used to be homeless and slept in his car. Now he's worth $200 million and hosts famous TV shows. But Katt Williams says Steve's homeless story isn't real. Katt claims Steve was never homeless. He got paid $3,000 per show 25 years ago. That's a lot of money. Katt and Steve had a comedy battle in Detroit in 2008. Over 10,000 people watched. Katt says he won that night and embarrassed Steve so badly that Steve stopped doing stand-up comedy forever. Katt also says Steve didn't create his own TV show. He copied it from another comedian named Mark Curry. What makes Steve dangerous, according to Katt, isn't his money or fame. It's that he tells fake stories to make himself look like a hero. Millions of people believe these stories and think Steve is an inspiration. But Katt says it's all fake. Cedric the Entertainer, the stolen joke. Sometimes big fights start over small things. For Katt Williams and Cedric the Entertainer, it started with one joke. Back in 1998, Katt was still unknown. He performed at a small comedy club and told a really funny joke about a black man dreaming of buying a fancy car. After the show, Cedric came backstage and said, "That joke was really good." 2 years later, Katt watched Cedric perform in a big movie called The Original Kings of Comedy. Cedric told Katt's joke, the same structure, the same rhythm, almost the same words, except Cedric changed car to spaceship. Thousands of people laughed. Nobody knew it was Katt's joke. Katt stayed quiet for over 20 years. He wasn't famous enough to say anything. But in 2023, when someone asked Cedric about stealing jokes, Cedric said, "I never heard that joke before. I made it up myself." That made Katt so angry. In 2024, Katt finally spoke up. "Cedric stole my best joke. He heard it in 1998, praised me for it, then performed it 2 years later like it was his." Cedric said Katt was lying. But many people who watched comedy in the 1990s remember Katt telling that joke first. To Katt, this shows how Hollywood works. Big stars can take things from smaller artists and nobody stops them. They use their power to erase the truth. Tyler Perry, the dress-wearing empire. Tyler Perry is super successful. He owns a huge movie studio in Atlanta bigger than Disney. He writes, directs, and acts in his own movies. He's worth over $1 billion. But Katt Williams has a problem with Tyler Perry. Perry is most famous for playing Media, an old lady character where Tyler wears a dress and wig. Katt once said, "I was offered money to wear a dress in a movie. I said no. Just seeing that costume made me sick." Katt believes Hollywood loves to put black men in dresses as a way to make fun of them. And Tyler Perry became the biggest example of this. Katt also says, "Name one person Tyler Perry made famous. All the actors in his movies who became real stars." According to Katt, Perry gives people jobs, but he doesn't help them become successful outside of his own movies. Katt doesn't hate Tyler Perry personally, but he thinks Perry's influence is so big that people think his way is the only way. And Katt believes Perry's comedy shows black people in a bad, stereotypical way. Perry never responded to Katt's comments. He usually ignores drama. Ludacris, the changed man. Ludacris and Katt used to be friends in Atlanta in the early 2000s. Ludacris was a rapper with long braids and a rebellious attitude. Katt was a struggling comedian. They weren't rich or super famous, but they respected each other. When Ludacris released his song, Pimpin' All Over the World in 2004, Katt even appeared on it. Everything was good. But then Ludacris joined the Fast and Furious movies. Suddenly, his braids were gone. His street style was gone. He started wearing suits and speaking differently. He became a safe Hollywood actor. In 2024, Katt shocked everyone by saying, Ludacris joined the Illuminati. He removed everything about his identity to get a $200 million movie deal. Ludacris responded with a rap song. He said, "I never joined the Illuminati, I'm just smart. I made millions without selling my soul. Some of these clowns need to look in the mirror." Everyone knew he was talking about Katt. After that, Katt went quiet. To Katt, Ludacris represents artists who completely change themselves to fit what Hollywood wants. They cut away their culture and identity to become acceptable to everyone. Katt thinks that's not growth, that's giving up who you are. Chris Tucker, the disappeared star. Chris Tucker was a huge comedy star in the 1990s. He was in Friday and the Rush Hour movies. At one point, he was making $20 million per movie. Then after 2007, he just disappeared. No movies, no comedy shows, no interviews, nothing. Katt Williams looked at that silence and got suspicious. On Shannon Sharpe's show, Katt said something shocking. Chris Tucker ain't Chris Tucker no more. That's Chris Tucker from Epstein Island now. Jeffrey Epstein was a criminal billionaire who hurt young people. His island became famous for terrible things. Chris Tucker's name appeared on a flight record from 2002. Tucker explained he was on a charity trip to Africa with Bill Clinton to help with AIDS relief. He said he didn't know who Epstein really was and never went to his private island. But for Katt, that was enough to be suspicious. He believes something happened that changed Chris Tucker forever. Something so dark that Tucker walked away from millions of dollars and never came back. Chris Tucker was hurt by these accusations. He said, "I was never on that island. I was on one charity flight and had no idea about Epstein's crimes." To Katt Williams, Chris Tucker isn't dangerous because he did something bad. He's dangerous because his story shows that Hollywood can be so toxic that even big stars run away and never explain why. The final message. These 7 people, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Tyler Perry, Ludacris, and Chris Tucker, represent different problems Katt Williams sees in Hollywood. Some got famous too easily. Some took credit for others' work. Some changed who they were to fit in. Some disappeared mysteriously. Katt Williams might be angry, controversial, and sometimes hard to believe. But one thing is clear. He refuses to stay quiet about what he thinks is wrong. Whether you agree with him or not, his message is powerful. Hollywood isn't always what it seems. Behind the smiles, money, and fame are secrets, sacrifices, and systems that don't treat everyone fairly. If you want to learn more Hollywood secrets, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment who you want us to talk about next. Remember, everything in this video is based on available information and should not be taken as complete truth. There's always more to discover. Check out our other videos on your screen now.